Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Always fun to jump back in.
So today we're diving into the world of NVIDIA.
Oh yeah, the semiconductor powerhouse.
That's right, they're practically the face of AI these days.
And I mean their stock price reflects that.
Yeah, for sure. It's surged over 136% in just the past year.
Wow.
It's crazy, right? And their market cap hit an unbelievable $3.4 trillion.
That's a number that's hard to even comprehend.
It really is. But here's the thing. Even with those crazy numbers,
Right.
NVIDIA's stock has dipped recently.
Yeah, a little bit of a dip.
It has, and it has everyone wondering what their upcoming earnings report on February 26th will show.
Yeah, what's going to happen?
So in this deep dive, we're going to try to figure out
Right.
if NVIDIA can hold on to its crown as the king of AI,
The AI king.
or if the competition is finally catching up to them.
Yeah, are they going to be dethroned or are they going to stay on top?
We've got some insights from financial analysts and industry experts to help us figure all that out.
Sounds good. I'm excited.
All right, so let's start with a snapshot of where NVIDIA stands today.
All right.
They've got a 98% market share in data center GPUs.
Wow, 98%.
Yeah, it's incredible. And their Q3 2025 revenue grew by almost 94% year over year.
Those are some serious numbers. You really can't argue with that.
You really can't, but there was that recent 11% dip from their January high.
Right.
And that makes this earnings announcement even more important.
Oh, for sure. It's a real test of how confident investors are.
Right. Analysts are projecting revenue of $38.1 billion
Okay.
and earnings per share of 0.79 for the quarter.
Now.
Now, if they hit those projections,
Right.
their earnings per share would be up over 61%.
Wow.
Compared to a year ago. That's huge.
It's a big jump.
Yeah, and they've also got 36 strong buy ratings from analysts.
So the analysts are definitely feeling bullish about NVIDIA.
Yeah, they are, and a lot of that is driven by just this massive investment boom that we're seeing in AI.
Yeah, it seems like every company's pouring money into it.
Yeah, it's like an AI gold rush.
It is. Everyone wants to stake their claim.
Yeah, you've got Meta Platforms planning to spend 65 billion.
Billion with a B.
Yeah, Alphabet's putting in 75 billion, and Amazon might spend over 100 billion, and all of that is just on AI.
It's an insane amount of money.
It really is. So where does NVIDIA fit into all of this?
Well, they're in a great position to benefit from all this spending on AI.
Okay.
They've actually made a really smart move. They've shifted from just selling GPUs
Right.
to offering complete systems for AI,
Okay.
like the GB200, NVL72, and that gives them a lot more pricing power.
So what does all this mean for the average investor? You know, someone like me who might be thinking about investing in NVIDIA.
Well, the GB200 is a good example of how they're becoming a one-stop shop for businesses that want to make their AI systems simpler. You know, it makes things easier for their customers, and it means NVIDIA gets to keep those customers and make more money over time.
That makes sense. It sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, for everyone involved.
But we can't forget about that stock dip that we mentioned earlier.
Oh, right, the one that,
The one caused by that Chinese research lab called DeepSeek.
DeepSeek, yeah, what a story that is.
So to remind everyone, DeepSeek showed that you could train a competitive AI model for a fraction of the usual cost.
Yeah, it was only like $5.6 million.
And they did it all using older GPUs.
Which is pretty amazing.
It is, and that news sent NVIDIA's stock down 17% in just one day.
One day.
Yeah, a lot of people saw that and thought that maybe NVIDIA's advantage was fading.
Right, like maybe these cheaper training methods would mean their high-end GPUs wouldn't be as essential.
Exactly. What do you think about that?
Well, it's definitely something to watch. You know, some people argue that DeepSeek's breakthrough could make AI accessible to more developers because training won't cost as much.
Okay.
But there's another way to look at it.
Okay.
Think about it. If training becomes cheaper and easier,
Right.
developers might be able to build even more complex and demanding AI models.
And who makes the chips that can run those really powerful models?
NVIDIA, exactly. It's like Jensen Huang, their CEO, famously said,
Oh.
even when competitors' chips are offered for free, it's still not cheap enough.
Wow.
When you consider the total cost of ownership.
So you're saying DeepSeek might actually end up helping NVIDIA in the long run?
It's possible. It's definitely an interesting twist.
Yeah, it just shows how fast the AI landscape is changing and that NVIDIA has to adapt.
Right. They can't afford to just sit back and relax.
Exactly. And they're already rolling out their newest weapon, the Blackwell architecture.
Blackwell, yeah, the one that everyone's calling the biggest leap forward since CUDA.
Yeah, we're talking 30 times faster AI performance.
That's incredible.
It's mind-blowing. Those GB200 NVL72 systems are sold out through 2025.
What?
And they're projected to make $8 billion just this quarter from Blackwell.
So Blackwell is a real game changer.
It seems like it. What's the secret sauce behind its success?
Well, part of it is definitely NVIDIA's vertical integration strategy.
Vertical integration.
Yeah, it basically means they control the whole process from designing the chips to developing the software.
So they're kind of like the Apple of the AI world.
That's a good analogy. They create an ecosystem that's really hard to leave once you're in it.
So they've got customers locked in.
Pretty much, they've created what we call a switching cost.
Okay.
So it's a lot harder for customers to jump ship to a competitor.
Makes sense. But even with all this momentum, NVIDIA does face some challenges.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Specifically when it comes to manufacturing and the supply chain.
Uh-huh.
I know they rely on TSMC for a lot of their advanced packaging technologies like CoWoS.
Right.
So what's the situation there?
Well, they're facing a couple of big challenges.
Okay.
First, they need to ramp up production for Blackwell.
Right.
But at the same time, they have to make sure they have enough of their older H100 and H200 GPUs because those are still in high demand.
Right.
And then second, there's always the geopolitical situation to worry about.
Especially when it comes to China.
Yeah, exactly.
So should investors be worried about these supply chain issues?
It's definitely something to consider. Any problems in their supply chain could affect their ability to make enough chips and hit their revenue targets.
Okay.
But NVIDIA has been investing to increase their CoWoS capacity.
Okay.
And they're saying they'll have enough to meet demand through Q3 of 2026.
So for now, at least, they seem to be in good shape.
Yeah, it seems like they've got things under control for the near future.
That's good to hear, but even if they can make enough chips,
Right.
they're not the only players in the AI arena.
True.
We talked about AMD earlier.
Yeah, they're gaining some ground.
They are, but they're still behind.
Uh-huh.
And then there are the cloud giants, Amazon, Google, Microsoft,
Right.
all working on their own custom AI chips.
Yeah, they're all trying to get a piece of the pie.
So how is NVIDIA responding to all this competition?
They're fighting back with what we call a full stack approach.
Okay.
It's not just about having the best chips.
Right.
It's about offering a whole package that includes software tools and a big network of partners.
So they're trying to create an ecosystem that's hard to compete with.
Exactly. It gives them a real advantage.
And it seems like it's working. Their NVIDIA AI enterprise software is already making $1 billion per quarter.
Yeah, they're not just a chip company anymore. They're a full-fledged AI solutions provider.
Okay, so they've got the market share, the technology, the ecosystem.
Right.
And they're managing the supply chain challenges.
Uh-huh.
But there's one thing that worries me, their valuation.
Oh, yeah.
NVIDIA's PE ratio is 54.88,
Which is
which is really high.
very high even for a company that's performing as well as they are.
Right. It basically means that investors are paying a premium for every dollar of NVIDIA's earnings.
They're betting big on their future growth.
So what are some of the risks investors should be aware of?
Well, one big risk is what we call multiple compression.
Multiple compression.
Yeah, if NVIDIA's growth slows down,
Okay.
even a little bit, that high PE ratio could shrink,
Yeah.
and that could make their stock price drop.
So it's like they're constantly walking a tightrope.
Yeah, they need to keep beating expectations to justify their current valuation.
Exactly. And what else could trip them up?
Well, there's margin erosion.
Margin erosion.
Yeah, as they spend more on research and development
Okay.
and potentially have to lower prices because of competition, their profit margins could shrink.
So that's something to keep an eye on.
Definitely.
And then, of course, there are always those geopolitical risks,
Yeah, we talked about those.
especially with China.
Right.
Any escalation in those tensions could hurt their bottom line.
For sure, it's a lot to keep track of.
It is. So with all that in mind, what should we be looking for in their upcoming earnings report?
Well, first, we need to see how quickly people are adopting Blackwell.
Blackwell.
Yeah, are cloud providers using it? Are businesses using it?
Okay.
If they are, that's a good sign that NVIDIA is still on top technologically.
Makes sense. What else should we be paying attention to?
We need to look at their gross margin trends.
Gross margin trends.
Yeah, because as they start selling more Blackwell, it's important to see how that affects their profitability.
Right.
Can they keep making good profits, or will they have to lower prices to stay competitive?
Okay. And what about their guidance for the next quarter?
Oh yeah, that's what everyone's going to be focused on.
What's Wall Street expecting?
They're expecting around $42 billion in revenue
Wow.
for Q1 of 2026.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, it is. And if they don't hit that even by a little bit, it could make investors nervous.
So there's a lot riding on this earnings call.
Yeah, it could definitely shake things up in the market.
And what about management's comments? What should we be listening for there?
Well, anything they say about the impact of DeepGeek
Okay.
and the balance between demand for inference and training.
Right.
Those are good indicators of how the AI landscape is changing
Okay.
and what it means for NVIDIA's future.
So looking back historically, how has NVIDIA's stock reacted after their earnings announcements?
Well, they've been beating expectations for a while now,
Okay.
which is why their stock price has been doing so well.
Right.
But historically, if they give guidance above $43 billion,
Yeah?
their stock usually goes up.
Okay.
But if it's below 40 yen billion, it could go down.
So there's a lot of potential for volatility.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting one to watch.
Okay, so we've talked about this upcoming earnings report.
Right.
But let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
Can NVIDIA keep up this incredible growth,
That's the big question.
or are they going to hit a ceiling eventually?
I mean, analysts are predicting $196 billion in revenue for fiscal year 2026.
Wow.
That's a 52% jump from the year before.
Those are some bold predictions.
They are, and they're also expecting growth to continue into 2027.
So what's driving this optimism? Is it just hype?
No, I don't think so. I think there are some real reasons to be optimistic.
Okay.
First, AI is being adopted faster and faster across lots of different sectors.
That's
Healthcare, automotive, industrial automation.
no throw.
Governments are also putting billions into AI research.
Right.
And NVIDIA is in a perfect position to benefit from all of this.
Though it's not just hype, there's a real wave of AI adoption happening.
Exactly. And remember, NVIDIA isn't just a hardware company anymore.
Right.
Their software and services are growing too, and that could be a big source of growth for them in the years to come.
So they've got multiple engines driving their growth.
Yeah, they're well diversified.
And then there's Blackwell's longer product cycle.
Right.
It's 4 years now instead of the 2 years they used to have.
Yeah, and that suggests that they're expecting sustained growth and maybe even higher profit margins in the long run.
Okay, so even with competition heating up,
Right.
it sounds like NVIDIA is in a pretty good position for the future.
I think so, but before we get carried away with all the excitement,
Yeah.
let's take a step back and think about something that often gets overlooked when we talk about technology.
What's that?
Leadership.
Ah, leadership.
Yeah, we've talked about all the tech and the financials and the competition,
Right.
but we can't forget about the human element.
The people at NVIDIA.
Exactly, their culture, their leadership.
Okay.
And there's no better place to start than with Jensen Huang.
Right, their CEO.
He's been leading NVIDIA for over 3 decades.
He has, and he's a bit of a legend in the tech world.
Yeah, he is. A lot of people say he's a big reason why they've been so successful.
So what's so special about his leadership style? What sets him apart from other CEOs?
Well, first of all, he's truly passionate about technology.
Okay,
He's not just doing it for the money. He really believes that technology can change the world.
I could see that.
And that passion is contagious.
Okay.
It inspires his employees, his partners, even investors.
So he's more like a leader of a movement than just a company.
Exactly. And he's also a brilliant strategist.
Okay.
He's really good at seeing industry trends and positioning NVIDIA to take advantage of them.
Can you give me an example?
Well, look at their move into the AI market.
Okay.
10 years ago, AI was a niche thing.
Right.
But Jensen saw its potential, and he put a lot of resources into building the hardware and software that would power the AI revolution.
And that's paid off big time.
It has. He was ahead of the curve.
Yeah, he was. But it's not just about strategy and vision, right?
Right.
What about his leadership style? How does he work with his employees?
He's known for being very hands-on.
Okay.
He's really involved in the details of the business.
All right.
He's also a great communicator.
Okay.
He can explain his vision in a way that really inspired people.
All right.
And he's built a culture of innovation and collaboration at NVIDIA.
Okay.
He encourages people to take risks and think outside the box.
So he's created a pretty special work environment,
Yeah, it's not your typical corporate culture. It's more like a startup.
even though they're a huge company.
Right, there's a lot of energy and excitement, and everyone there believes they're building something really revolutionary.
So it's clear that Jensen Huang's leadership has been a big part of NVIDIA's journey.
Absolutely.
But as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay,
what's the biggest lesson we can learn from NVIDIA's story so far?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway is the importance of constant innovation.
Okay.
NVIDIA hasn't just kept up with technology, they've pushed the boundaries, they've invested heavily in research and development, and they've been willing to try new things.
So they're not afraid to take risks.
Exactly, and that's why they're so successful.
It's a reminder that in the tech world, you can't just stand still.
You'll get left behind.
Yeah, and NVIDIA's story shows that with a clear vision, a commitment to pushing the limits, and a little bit of audacity, you can achieve amazing things.
Absolutely, their story is really inspiring.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
We've explored NVIDIA's dominance in AI, the challenges and opportunities they face, and the leadership that's driven their success.
It's been a great conversation so far.
It has, and there's still so much more to unpack.
There is.
So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive,
All right.
where we'll take a closer look at some of the specific opportunities and challenges NVIDIA is facing as they navigate the world of AI.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Welcome back to our deep dive into NVIDIA.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride so far,
It has.
but we're ready for more.
All right.
We talked about their dominance in AI, their leadership, their crazy financial.
Right, all the important stuff.
But what about the challenges and opportunities that they're facing right now?
Yeah, what's the landscape looking like for them?
Exactly. Well, one of the most interesting things is the competition.
Okay.
You know, they're the king of the AI chip market right now, but it's not a one-horse race.
Right. We talked about AMD a bit earlier. They're making some moves but still trailing behind. Yeah, they're not quite there yet.
And then there are those cloud giants, you know, Amazon, Google, Microsoft.
Oh, yeah.
They're all building their own custom AI chips.
Uh-huh.
Should NVIDIA be worried about that?
I think they should definitely be paying attention.
Sure.
I mean, these big cloud companies have a lot of resources,
Right.
and they have a reason to want to build their own chips.
Okay.
You know, chips that are specifically designed for their own systems.
Right.
If they can match or even beat NVIDIA's performance
Yeah.
and do it at a lower cost, that could be a real threat.
So how's NVIDIA preparing to deal with that?
Well, their strategy is all about what we call full stack innovation.
Full stack innovation.
Yeah, it's not just about having the best chips anymore.
Okay.
It's about having a whole package.
Okay.
The hardware, the software, and a whole ecosystem of partners.
So they're trying to build a moat around their business.
Exactly. Make it harder for competitors to get in.
And it seems like a three-pronged attack, right? Superior technology, a comprehensive software suite, and a strong network of partners.
Exactly. They've got it all covered.
And they seem to be doing a pretty good job of executing this strategy.
Yeah, they are.
We already mentioned NVIDIA AI Enterprise.
Right.
Their software suite that's making $1 billion a quarter.
It's amazing.
It is, and they're also really expanding their partner network,
Uh-huh.
working with companies in all sorts of industries to build AI solutions.
So they're becoming the go-to partner for anyone who wants to get into AI.
Yeah, it's not just about selling chips anymore.
Right.
It's about being a vital part of the whole AI revolution.
Exactly. They're really at the center of it all.
And that brings us to another big opportunity for NVIDIA.
Okay, what's that?
The growing number of applications for AI.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about some of the sectors that are already using AI,
Uh-huh.
but the potential is much bigger than that.
Oh, for sure.
We're talking drug discovery, personalized medicine, smart cities, self-driving cars.
The possibilities are endless.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is.
And NVIDIA is right there at the heart of it all, supplying the building blocks for this AI-powered future.
They're providing the tools that make it all possible.
Right, and as these new applications emerge and AI models become more complex,
Yeah.
the demand for NVIDIA's products is just going to increase.
Right, and it's not just about the amount of demand. It's about the type of demand we're going to need even more powerful and specialized hardware
Okay.
to run these super advanced AI systems.
And who's leading the way in developing that kind of hardware?
NVIDIA, that's why everyone's so excited about their future.
Okay, I'm getting caught up in the excitement here.
I know, it's hard not to.
But let's not forget about their valuation.
Oh, right.
NVIDIA's PE ratio is still around 54.88.
Yeah, it's high.
Really high.
Even for a company like NVIDIA.
It means that investors are expecting them to keep growing at a really fast pace.
Yeah, they've set the bar pretty high.
So what could go wrong? What could cause them to stumble?
Well, competition is a big one.
Okay.
If AMD or those cloud companies manage to take some of NVIDIA's market share,
Yeah.
that could hurt their growth and their profits.
Makes sense. And what about the overall economy?
Oh, yeah, that's a factor too.
You know, if there's a global recession or if tech spending slows down,
Right.
that could have a big impact on NVIDIA.
For sure, the tech industry is cyclical.
Right.
NVIDIA's not immune to that.
And then there are those geopolitical risks,
Uh-huh.
especially with China.
Yeah, that's always a concern.
Any escalation in those tensions could really hurt them.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It is. So let's shift gears for a second and talk about some of the brighter spots.
Okay.
One area that I'm really fascinated by is the metaverse.
The metaverse?
Yeah, it's a term we hear a lot these days.
It is. It's a hot topic.
But it's still kind of fuzzy for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around.
So what is it exactly?
Well, think of it as a persistent virtual world. Like a next-generation internet where people can interact with each other.
Okay.
Play games, go to events, even do business.
So it's like a blending of the physical and digital worlds.
Exactly.
Okay, so where does NVIDIA fit into all of this?
Well, their technology is essential for building and running these immersive experiences.
Okay.
Their GPUs are what make those complex graphics and simulations possible.
Right.
And their software platforms, like NVIDIA Omniverse,
Okay.
are specifically designed for creating things in these virtual worlds.
So they're not just providing the building blocks, they're providing the whole toolkit.
Yeah, they're creating the infrastructure for a whole new digital universe.
That's amazing.
It is, and that's why NVIDIA is in such a good position to be a major player in the metaverse.
Okay, so they've got the hardware, the software, the vision.
Uh-huh.
But this all sounds very futuristic.
It does.
Is the metaverse something we should be taking seriously right now, or is it just hype?
Well, it's still early days,
Okay.
but the metaverse has the potential to be a really transformative technology.
Okay.
Think about how much the internet has changed our lives.
Right.
The metaverse could be even bigger,
Wow.
and NVIDIA's betting big on it.
So it seems like they're not just focused on dominating the present.
Right.
They're already looking ahead to the next big thing
Exactly. They're always pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
and investing a lot in research and development.
Yeah, they want to stay ahead of the curve.
It's inspiring to see a company that's so committed to innovation.
It is. They're really pushing the limits of what we thought was possible.
So as we wrap up this second part of our deep dive,
Okay.
what's the biggest lesson we can learn from NVIDIA's journey?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway is the power of embracing innovation and never getting complacent.
Okay.
NVIDIA hasn't just kept up with technology. They've pushed the boundaries, they've invested in R&D, and they've been willing to embrace new technologies and markets.
So it's all about constantly pushing forward.
Exactly. That's what's made them so successful.
It's a good reminder that in the tech world, standing still is the same as falling behind.
Absolutely. NVIDIA's story shows us that with a clear vision, a commitment to pushing the limits, and a willingness to take risks, you can achieve amazing things.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive.
We have.
We talked about the challenges and opportunities NVIDIA's facing their move into the metaverse and the incredible leadership that's shaped their journey.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
But our exploration of NVIDIA isn't over yet.
There's one more piece of the puzzle.
Right, one that we often overlook when we talk about technology.
The ethical side of it all.
The ethics of AI.
Exactly. As AI becomes more powerful and more widespread, we need to think about how it's going to impact society.
It's a really important topic.
It is. We need to talk about responsibility, fairness, the kind of future we're building.
Right, it raises a lot of difficult questions.
It does, but they're questions we need to answer.
So join us for the final part of our deep dive,
Uh-huh.
where we'll explore these complex and fascinating ethical questions. All right, welcome back to the final part of our NVIDIA deep dive.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've gone from market dominance to the metaverse.
Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, but we've been hinting that there's one more piece of the puzzle,
Right, something really important.
something's crucial,
Yeah.
and that's the ethical side of AI.
Exactly.
We can't talk about a company like NVIDIA
Right.
that's shaping the future of AI
Uh-huh.
without talking about the ethics.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to marvel at the technology,
Right.
but it's another to think about how AI is going to affect society as a whole.
Yeah,
It's a topic that brings up a lot of questions,
it really does.
and there are no easy answers.
No, not at all.
But it's a conversation we need to have
Do.
as AI becomes more and more part of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look at the ethical implications
Right.
and make sure we're using it responsibly.
Utilize it.
So let's dive into some of those tough questions.
Okay.
What are some of the ethical concerns that you think about when you think about AI?
Well, one of the biggest ones is job displacement.
Job displacement?
Yeah, as AI gets better, more sophisticated,
Right.
it can start automating jobs that humans used to do.
Right.
And that makes people worried about losing their jobs.
Okay, so it's the classic robots are taking our jobs scenario.
Pretty much, yeah.
But how realistic is that fear?
Well, it's definitely a valid concern.
Okay.
It's something we need to be prepared for.
Okay.
But technology has always disrupted jobs, right? Think about the automobile.
Okay.
That led to fewer jobs in the horse-drawn carriage industry.
Right.
But it created a ton of new jobs
Okay.
in manufacturing, transportation, all sorts of things.
So it's not about jobs disappearing entirely.
Right.
It's more about jobs changing.
Yeah, the nature of work is changing.
Right. And we need to adapt to that.
We do.
So what kinds of skills will be valuable in this AI-powered future?
Well, skills like critical thinking, problem-solving, creativity, emotional intelligence,
Okay.
those are all things that humans are still better at than machines.
Okay.
We also need to learn skills that work well with AI.
Okay, so like data analysis.
Exactly. AI training, AI ethics.
So it's not about being afraid of AI,
Right.
but about figuring out how to work with it.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned AI ethics.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean?
Well, it means making sure that AI systems are developed and used responsibly,
Okay.
fairly and transparently.
Okay, so give me an example of how this might play out in the real world.
Sure, let's say you have an AI system that helps companies hire people.
Okay.
If that system is trained on data that's biased,
Yeah.
it could end up making unfair hiring decisions.
Right, so it could perpetuate existing biases.
Exactly. Or think about AI in healthcare.
Okay.
It's important to make sure that patient privacy is protected
Okay.
and that decisions are made fairly and transparently.
So the ethical side of AI is just as complicated as the technology itself.
It really is. It requires a lot of thought collaboration and a commitment to doing the right thing.
So how is NVIDIA handling all of this?
Well, they've been pretty vocal about the importance of responsible AI.
Okay,
They've published their own AI ethics principles,
okay,
and they're involved in industry groups that are promoting ethical AI practices.
right.
They've also been working on ways to reduce bias in AI systems.
So it sounds like they're taking this seriously
Yeah, they seem to be.
and trying to be proactive.
They are, which is good to see.
It is, because the future of AI isn't set in stone.
Right.
It's up to all of us to shape it.
Exactly. Technologists, policymakers,
We
citizens.
all need to work together to make sure AI is used for good.
Absolutely. It's a collective effort.
Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into NVIDIA,
Yeah,
it's important to remember that they're not just selling chips,
right.
they're shaping the future of AI.
They are, and that's a powerful position to be in.
It is, and with that power comes a lot of responsibility.
For sure.
It's been an amazing journey,
It has.
exploring NVIDIA's technology, their financials, the ethical considerations.
It's been a fascinating discussion.
It has, and I hope our listeners will continue to explore these topics,
Me too.
asking questions, having conversations about the future we're building.
It's important to stay engaged.
It is. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into NVIDIA.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries.